Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is blaming pretty much everything on wokeness. Take a look.
Don't think that woke doesn't have an impact on your life and will really be able to have a devastating impact if it takes hold even further. When woke takes our economy by things like ESG, the average person becomes poorer as a result of that. When woke overtakes the education system, the average student becomes dumber as a result of that. When woke overtakes our criminal justice system, like it has in San Francisco, like it has in Los Angeles, the average person becomes less safe in their communities as a result in it. Tell me it doesn't affect people's lives. I was just in San Francisco. I saw, in 20 minutes on the ground, people defecating on the sidewalk. I saw people using fentanyl. I saw people smoking crack right there in the open, right there on the street. It was a civilization in decay.
And you say that's the woke, right? Okay, first off, let's just start out with, I'll take things that never happened for $500, Alex. Because that never happened. Do you think Ron DeSantis would ever go anywhere remotely unsafe? Because, again, you would have to go into some unsafe neighborhoods for you to see that stuff happening. I'm just saying. Inconceivable. Okay, inconceivable. DeSantis, knowing that guy, he would probably faint if he saw somebody light up a joint near him. Okay? He might have to get on his boots. You know, the big old white boots that he was wearing that didn't ever really get dirty when he was helping up with, I think it was hurricane cleanup. Right. Look, that said, now does he bring up some issues with, drug use, addiction, homelessness? Yes, people defecating in the streets. Okay, yeah, those are legitimate issues, and they do happen, by the way. And they do happen in California. California has homeless people. Oh, you know what? What place also has homeless people? Florida. In fact, I believe in every state there are homeless people. Yes, it's a pretty big problem. And a good chunk of them are veterans. Again, they're people with addiction issues, and they're just many people. In fact, the vast majority of homeless people are people that cannot afford to rent or buy a home. So you might want to actually figure out a solution to that by, there is a solution. Pay people more. And also try to bring down rents and mortgages. Wow, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Duh, of course. Now, talking about drugs and overdoses, again, California has that. And so does Florida. In fact, Florida actually has significantly higher drug overdose mortality rate than California does, despite California being huge. Much, much bigger than Florida, population-wise. So now, they look at per capita, okay? In 2021, Florida had 37.5 drug overdose deaths per 100,000 people, whereas California had less, 26.6 drug overdose deaths per 100,000 people. Wait, so it's actually worse in Florida with a smaller population. There's more. Florida also had of course, higher firearm death rate than California and a higher homicide rate overall than California. Now, that said, as far as public pooper incidents, well, I had a hard time finding a metric on that one because I don't really think anybody is keeping track of public pooper incidents. Okay? But I think on that, I'm just gonna have to give Florida the prize on that one as well. Simply because, well, let me show you. All right. Huh. Yeah. Florida man poops in court, flings feces at judge. Then it gets weird. Oh, then it gets weird. If that's not already weird enough. No, then it gets weird. Okay. One more for you. That was from January 23rd. That was earlier this year. Florida man, pooping perpetrator. Look, man, Florida, I mean, there's a reason that there is a popular headline called Florida Man and not California Man or Michigan Man or Massachusetts Man. No, Florida Man. Everyone knows Florida Man. And look, weird stuff happens in Florida, and that includes a lot of public pooping.
They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
Big, massive dumps.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.
Just never handle it. No, look, here's the thing. Every state has its issues, obviously. No state is perfect. Yes, there is states that are facing crime, drug addiction, homelessness. In fact, pretty much every state has issues with that. It's almost as like it's a national issue. And, you know, you could go through a litany of different causes. Many of them, of course, I believe being poverty, being pretty much the main cause of a lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of things that spiral off on that. Poverty. But it's not because of woke. Okay, the one thing that is not the cause of all of this is woke.
Woke.
All right? Just saying. No, again, you do have policy, and later in that speech he talks about how, oh, it's leftist policy. No, we've never actually seen a place where you have real leftist policy that, again, targets the root of all this issue, of all these issues, which is poverty. Instead, where you see a lot of criminalizing of the homeless, you see the continued criminalization of addiction, and again, the criminalization of just poverty itself. And when you do all that stuff, that's not going to solve any of the problems. Okay? You actually have to have systems in place, good policies, to get people out of poverty, to get them off of hard drugs, to get people into recovery, to get people off the streets and into homes, and to get people into jobs. You have to have things, policies in place to do that. And look, criticize California for, all you want. There are people in that state that are trying. There's a lot of work to do. There's no magic bullet that's going to fix all of this overnight, especially. But you have to at least try, and you need to know how to proceed in order to solve these social ills that have, again, been with us since the start of civilization. Now, but for DeSantis, it's pretty clear what he's doing. It's easy to sit back and criticize woke than it is to actually come up with a real plan and then enact that plan to help people. And that's why he's going to continue to criticize woke.